The decades of Pax Americana are largely over for us here in Europe, and also for us specifically in Germany. It no longer truly exists in the same way that we once knew it. And nostalgia won't help either. And I would be one of the last people not to gladly indulge in that nostalgia. But it doesn't help. That's just how it is. The Americans are now pursuing their own interests very, very forcefully. Yes, we are not at war, but we are also no longer living solely in peace. And we need to be clear about that. Germany will not be able to make any contribution at all if we do it at the expense of our industry. In any case, I am not willing to prioritize environmental and climate protection so highly that a large part of our industrial core in the Federal Republic of Germany is lost as a result. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, if you truly want to damage, if not completely destroy, democracy in Germany, then you just have to keep on doing exactly that, precisely as you are doing now. I am not willing to let people who are far left, or even more so, far right, now calling themselves the so-called alternative for Germany, take this mission away from us, my dear friends. We will absolutely not allow that to happen, and they will clearly see just how incredibly ready we are to valiantly fight for what we have painstakingly achieved in our beloved country and for the profound legacy that we proudly hold in our hands today.
Shock waves across Western capitals. Russia has seized yet another Ukrainian stronghold. The strategic city of Seversk has fallen. And now a German war correspondent, Thomas Roper, is delivering a brutal message to the West, along with rubbing salt on wounds. In a most scathing message, Roper said there is not much left in Ukraine to stop Russia after the fall of Seversk in Donetsk. Questioning Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky over his reluctance to sign the U.S. President Donald Trump brokered peace deal, the German war correspondent blamed his European backers for sabotaging. Roper told Russia Today, RT News, Seversk was maybe the last fortress until the Donetsk River. He said there will not be much left to stop the Russians, especially having in mind that the Ukrainian forces are very low on personnel. And when asked about what the loss of Seversk would mean for Ukraine's battlefield situation, he said it's hopeless. So what else is causing a delay in signing the peace treaty by Zelensky? Well, according to the German journalist, the Ukrainian president might face a real physical danger at home if he backs down. Roper said Zelensky is stalling with his most recent statements about potential elections and referendums on land concessions. The process could take months or years. Russia captures Seversk. What it means. The Russian Defense Ministry on December 11th claimed that Seversk was cleared of enemy troops. Video shows Russian soldiers have begun providing aid to civilians in the newly liberated Seversk. The Russian MOD said in a statement that troops have been going door to door to assist the civilians remaining in the city. Residents purportedly greeted the Russian servicemen and thanked them for liberating the city. The Russian soldiers in return deliver food, drinking water, and medicine. Civilians are also offered the opportunity to be evacuated to temporary accommodation away from the front line, where they receive all necessary assistance. The fortified Donbass city had seen sporadic fighting since 2022. Taking Seversk opens up the way for Russian forces to advance on the key cities of Kramatorsk and Slavyansk, both of which are major hubs for the Ukrainian military. Russian troops are in fact already moving towards Slavyansk, the commander of Russia's 3rd Army Corps, Lieutenant General Igor Kuznenkov, told President Putin at a meeting on Thursday. Putin noted that with a steady and regular liberation of settlements in Russia's Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia regions, the strategic initiative is entirely in the hands of the Russian armed forces. Since early November, Russian forces have captured dozens of settlements across Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia, and even parts of Kharkiv, Sumy, and Dnipropetrovsk, including major logistical hubs like Krasnoarmysk and Kupiansk.
Thank you. I note good progress in all directions. The liberation of the territory of the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, as well as the Zaporizhzhia and Kherson regions, is proceeding steadily and systematically in accordance with your plans and the plans of the General Staff. And the strategic initiative is completely in the hands of the Russian armed forces. Now I would like to turn to Sergei Viktorovich. Sergei Viktorovich, at our last meeting you reported on the progress of the tasks carried out by the southern group of forces, including in the areas of the cities of Seversk and Kostiantynivka. How are things going there now?
Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief, good day. The Southern Group of Forces, in accordance with the plan of the special military operation, continues to carry out tasks to liberate the northern part of the Donetsk People's Republic. In the Kramatorsk-Druzhkovka direction, the formations and military units of the group are advancing along a wide front, focusing their main efforts on liberating the settlement of Kostiantynivka. Despite the enemy's resistance, assault units of the 3rd Army Corps are advancing in the eastern and southeastern parts of the city. Street fighting continues in the northeastern part and the industrial area of the settlement. At the same time, the 4th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade has completed the liberation of the settlement of Ivanopolie and has begun assault operations in the southern districts of the settlement of Konstantinovka. On the left flank of the group, motorized rifle units continue to expand the area under their control north of the Klebanbek Reservoir and are fighting to liberate the settlement of Stepanovka. Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief, the formations and military units of the 3rd Army, advancing in the Seversk direction, have completed the liberation of the city of Seversk, thereby creating the conditions for further offensive operations toward the settlement of Slavyansk. The successful liberation of Seversk was made possible by a meticulously planned comprehensive fire assault on the enemy, with significant contributions from the missile forces, artillery, aviation, and unmanned systems units. Allow me to request that the commander of the 3rd Army, Lieutenant General Igor Anatolyevich Kuzmenkov, provide a more detailed report on the liberation of the city of Seversk.
Yes. Just a moment, please. Sergei Viktorovich, what was it I wanted to say? We met with you on November 20th at one of the command posts of the West Group. That's when we were working. And at that particular time, you explicitly told me that the strategically important city of Seversk would definitely be in our hands, and that this significant event would happen no later than December the 15th. You know, I vividly recall my memorable trip to the beautiful region of Dagestan, a truly unforgettable experience. That was quite a while ago, after the completion of one of those significant and, at the time, important for us, and still important today, counter-terrorist operations. I went there to meet with the guys, including local volunteers. And there was a truly remarkable woman standing quite nearby, a proud Highlander, a strikingly beautiful young woman, who gracefully came up to me, gently took my hand in hers, and with profound sincerity, she said, "You unequivocally said it, and you absolutely did it. A real honorable man. Now, with deep respect, I want to return those powerful and meaningful words to you, and indeed to all your brave commanders and courageous fighters, acknowledging their immense dedication and unwavering commitment. You said it and you did it. A real man. Thank you for this work. But I want to note that this became possible without a doubt, solely thanks to the coordinated work of the commanders of units and formations and staffs at all levels, which ensured thorough planning of this operation, all combat actions, as well as the resolution of issues of coordination and comprehensive support. It is also important to note the role of the personnel as a whole and the junior commanders during the preparation and coordination of the assault groups. Thank you all for your service, comrades. And please, let's continue. Igor Anatolyevich, please, the floor is yours.
Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief, greetings. During preparations for offensive operations, it was established that the enemy had created a deep layered defense in the eastern part of the city of Seversk and on its approaches. That is, their main efforts were concentrated in industrial zones and residential neighborhoods. A system of fortified areas, strongpoints, and long-term positions was established. It was decided, in order to reduce personnel losses, to first block the city from 3 sides and cut off its logistical routes. To this end, units of the 6th Motorized Rifle Brigade from the north and the 123rd Motorized Rifle Brigade from the south carried out a flanking maneuver around the city along converging directions. Subsequently, as the brigade's forward units reached the southern and northern outskirts of Seversk, a systematic assault on the city's districts was carried out. The fiercest resistance was put up by the enemy in the high-rise district, at the Dolomite plant, the bread baking plant, and at the railway station, where they had prepared fortified defensive strongpoints. During this same period, units of the 7th and 88th separate motorized rifle brigades, having executed a deep maneuver from the north and south, cut off the main logistical routes to the west of Seversk. The enemy began a disorderly retreat. As a result of the operation carried out, Seversk has been brought completely under our control. Currently, inspection operations are being conducted in the city to search for and eliminate individual Ukrainian armed forces servicemen attempting to hide in buildings.
Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief, the combined forces and army units continue offensive operations with the general direction toward the city of Slavyansk. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Igor Anatolievich. We understand that by creating this fortified area in the vicinity of Seversk and in the city itself, the enemy was counting on us getting bogged down in the assault on this city, and thus he hoped to halt our advance. The enemy failed to achieve anything, while you accomplished everything you planned and intended. Congratulations. And of course, as I have already mentioned, it is the mid- and high-ranking commanders who are directly involved in these operations. One of them is here with us, Denis Sergeyevich. I would also like to ask you to comment on the events that took place and in which you were directly involved. Please.
Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief, the most difficult stage in capturing the settlement of Seversk was seizing the tactical defensive line on the approaches to Seversk, where the enemy had created a network of strong points consisting of trenches, dugouts, and pillboxes. The dugouts were up to 2 meters deep. After we seized this line, the enemy actively controlled the eastern outskirts of the settlement. At the same time, the brigade's assault groups began actively clearing and storming the railway leading into Seversk, the so-called Southern Gate. I would like to note that there was no coordination between the 10th Separate Mountain Assault Brigade and the 54th Mechanized Brigade of the AFU, nor was there coordination among their own units. Our units took advantage of this and began organizing the deployment of assault groups. The enemy was monitoring our units from the eastern side. We approached from the south, covertly positioning the assault groups. From the very beginning of the extensive assault operations, until the enemy forces fully realized and definitively confirmed that we were indeed present and deeply entrenched within the settlement, we had more than enough formidable forces and strategic resources to effectively take complete and absolute control of the entire area. When the assault operations began in the settlement, the fighting started in isolated pockets. Starting from the southern outskirts, on 3 streets and 4 streets further up, in coordination with the 6th Brigade, assaults on enemy fortifications began every day. The enemy put up fierce resistance, but under the relentless pressure of our determined assault groups, they were ultimately forced to retreat to their pre-prepared defensive positions in the central vital part of the city. In coordination with the 6th Brigade, the 123rd Brigade also prevented the enemy from gaining a foothold in the central part. The enemy was forced to retreat to the western side of the Bakhmutka River, where, in coordination with FPV drones, reconnaissance drones, and artillery, the enemy was destroyed. On the western outskirts, scattered groups remained, which were eliminated together with the 6th and 123rd Brigades. Now the 123rd and 6th Brigades have full control over the settlement of Seversk. The 123rd and 6th Brigades continue to carry out their tasks in the western direction, in the area of the settlement of Slavyansk. That concludes my report.
Well done. Congratulations to you.